Hello and welcome. Today we're going to unmask a really common but incredibly dangerous figure you might find in your workplace, the psychological saboteur. We're going to use a real-life case study to build a toolkit, a way to expose and, well, neutralize the kind of bully who uses mind games instead of fists. Let's get into it.
You know, this quote, it really hits the nail on the head for the psychological battleground we're talking about. The saboteur, they see their colleagues as sheep, just there to be controlled. But our story today, it's about what happens when one of those sheep decides to be a lion.
Come on, think about it for a second. Have you ever met that person who just seems a little too perfect? Their stories are always epic, they always know someone powerful. They aren't just successful, no, they are a legend, at least in their own mind. And their main goal is making sure you know it. Okay, so let's meet the subject of our case study. We're going to call him Arjun. Now, on the surface, this guy is impressive, he's charming, he's well-connected. But underneath all that is a very carefully built illusion. And it's designed for one purpose, and one purpose only: psychological control.
So the main weapon in Arjun's arsenal is something we can call identity inflation. And look, this is way more than just bragging. It's a strategic campaign to build a persona that's so grand, so impressive, that it just dwarfs everyone else in the room. He literally makes himself seem bigger just so he can make you feel smaller.
So here's how he actually does it. Get this, he won't even use his real first name. Nope, he insists on a surname that just so happens to hint at a connection to ancient royalty. He's always name-dropping a powerful politician he's supposedly related to. And if he finds anyone successful with the same last name, suddenly they're a relative. He's basically identity-vamping their success. And at work? Oh, he's not just a supervisor. He's the 8 crore transaction man, the self-appointed hero of the story. But that whole inflated identity thing? That's just the foundation for a full-on psychological assault. Arjun's tactics aren't random at all. They are a calculated arsenal of mind games, and they're all designed to confuse you, intimidate you, and ultimately, to dominate you.
So, his first tactic is something called technical gaslighting. He knows his bosses aren't tech wizards, right? So Arjun demos this really basic AI project, something you could probably set up in 15 minutes, and he presents it like it's some revolutionary breakthrough. By exploiting that knowledge gap, he creates this total illusion of being a genius.
Next up, he just manufactures crises out of thin air. I mean, a minor AC gas leak, that's kind of boring. But a data center fire? Whoa, now that's an emergency that needs a hero, right? He creates panic so he can swoop in and pretend to be the savior, just soaking up all that attention. He doesn't solve problems, he inflates them.
Now this is probably his darkest tool, projective identification. He tells these absolutely vile, disturbing stories about unfaithful spouses, things he supposedly saw in gutters, with the specific goal of making his colleagues feel worried and dirty and insecure. He is literally projecting his own inner darkness onto them to get this twisted sense of control. But you know, every illusionist eventually meets that one person in the audience who can see the wires. And in our story, that person is Arjun's senior, Mr. Sharma. The thing about Mr. Sharma is he doesn't fight back with anger or emotion. Nope, he uses the clean, cold, and absolutely devastating power of logic. Okay, here's that defense in action. Arjun tries to corner Mr. Sharma using a caste-based slur. But Mr. Sharma, he doesn't get defensive. He calmly applies what you could call a global context. He just asks, that's interesting. If that word means what you think it means, then why is it also called, or that famous yoga guru? And just like that, the slur, which was meant to be a trap, becomes totally meaningless.
And what about that technical gaslighting? Against that, Mr. Sharma uses what we'll call the Socratic deep dive. See, he doesn't just say, "You're lying." Instead, he asks for really specific, granular details that any real expert would know in a heartbeat. Oh, interesting. So what vector embeddings are you using for that? What's the chunk size? And Arjun, the fake expert, he can only reply with some vague corporate buzzwords, and the whole illusion just crumbles.
Now this is a beautifully simple and powerful tool for you. When Arjun tells one of his bigoted jokes, Mr. Sharma doesn't laugh, but he doesn't get angry either. He just puts on a slightly confused face and asks, "Sorry, I don't get it. Can you explain why that's funny?" I'm telling you, nothing kills a malicious joke faster than forcing the person who told it to spell out its ugly, hateful logic in a professional setting. The bully has to either admit their bias or just shut up. So what happens when you start to consistently apply these logical counters? Well, the bully's entire performance, his whole act, it just falls apart. All of his power, which was built on perception and fear, it just evaporates when it's exposed to the harsh light of truth.
This was the real turning point. The moment Mr. Sharma calmly looked Arjun right in the eye and said this, he did way more than just defend himself. He named the game. By making the hidden manipulation obvious, he was basically telling the magician, hey, I see the trick. And in that instant, the power shifted for good.
And this right here is the key. A psychological saboteur thrives on your politeness. They are counting on you being too decent or too uncomfortable to call them out. By calmly exposing their tactics with pure logic, Mr. Sharma didn't just win an argument, he broke the spell. Arjun wasn't some feared illusionist anymore, he was just a guy in a cheap costume.
So now, let's take this whole battle and distill it down into a practical toolkit that you can actually use to handle the Arjun in your own life. All right, think of this slide as your cheat sheet. For every poison, there's an antidote. For identity inflation, you use the reality anchor. Bring them back to earth with facts in their real name. For crisis manufacturing, ask for the audit trail. Demand the data, the formal reports. For their gross gutter stories, use the moral mirror. Ask them why they seem so focused on such dark things. For technical gaslighting, you've got the Socratic deep dive. And for those bigoted slurs, use the global context to make the word completely powerless. Now, if you remember nothing else from this, remember this 3-step protocol. Step 1, label the game. Just calmly state, I see the game you're playing. That takes away their secrecy. Step 2, use logic. Ask those questions that expose how flawed their reasoning is. And step 3, set a firm boundary. Remind them that in the real world, not their little fantasy empire, their behavior actually has consequences.
And that really brings us to our final question for you. These manipulators, they count on you being too polite to challenge their illusion. So I want you to take a look at your own world. Where has your silence maybe been mistaken for agreement? Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to just stop being polite and start being honest, calmly, logically, and relentlessly.